Okay, so I just saw Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, the alleged final movie in the Mission Impossible franchise, and I gotta say, I enjoyed it. This is just going to be my out of the theater reaction for the movie. It's not going to be my full review, which I will be posting later today. But let's go over my immediate thoughts with the movie. I think it was a little bit too long. I think the first hour was just exposition heavy. It was just a lot of narration, a lot of flashbacks. And I get it, we're 8 movies into this franchise, so a lot of people don't have time to, go rewatch 7 movies before watching this one. So some of those flashbacks might be beneficial for a lot of audience members, so I totally understand that. But just narratively, it was super exposition heavy, and that first hour was kind of slow. I thought the action was really good, which we come to expect with the Mission Impossible movies. I don't think it was as good as the Dead Reckoning action, which is the previous film. But this one has a really, really cool aerial scene with 2 biplanes and Tom Cruise just hanging onto it for dear life. There's also a really, really intense underwater scene in a submarine that was really, really awesome to see in IMAX. I think the plane scene is probably going to be everyone's favorite though, because it's a really long scene, it's super tense, it happens near the end of the movie. And yeah, it was just a joy to watch in IMAX with the better sound and everything. My seat was shaking from all of the roaring of the engine of this plane. I thought the story was pretty good. It was kind of simple, but it was super high stakes. I would say it's one of the most high stakes stories in the entire franchise, if not the most high stakes one. But it does suffer from the villain problem, which is the same villain that we saw in Dead Reckoning, the previous movie with Gabriel. A lot of people have pointed out that this villain is very one-dimensional, there's not really much to him. And it's pretty much the same in this movie too, and I would say the ending with that character was kind of anticlimactic. I thought it would be a lot better, but unfortunately it was not. And then the other villain, I guess, would be the AI called the Entity. And I feel like it was kind of underutilized in this movie. Like, it's this big bad AI, but it's not really doing a whole lot. It just wants nuclear access, and then it just wants to launch a bunch of missiles, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. Versus in the previous movie, Dead Reckoning, I thought, it showcased the AI's threat a lot better. We had people being erased from, security footage, and it was, imitating people's voices, doing, deep fake stuff. I just thought it was more of a menace in the previous movie. I also want to say the supporting cast in this film was great. There was some good new additions. I do think some of those characters could have been fleshed out a little bit more, but I did enjoy them overall. And yeah, guys, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, it's a solid action movie. I don't think it's in, the top 3 of the Mission Impossible films. But it's still a good one. I don't think there's actually a bad Mission Impossible movie. I think all of them are around a 7 out of 10 or above. Fallout is easily still my favorite one. I think I gave that a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, though, I'm sitting around a 7 or a 7.5. It's a solid movie. And the way I do my rankings is a 7 out of 10 is good. Once you hit 8 or above, it's great. I don't think it quite hits an 8 out of 10. That's what I would probably give Dead Reckoning. But it's another solid addition to the franchise. Tom Cruise is kicking ass, especially at his age. It's crazy that, he's hanging off of planes at 60 plus years old. If you're a fan of the franchise, I definitely recommend to go check out the movie. And even if you're someone that hasn't really watched all the other ones or don't really remember the other ones, I would say you can go into this and enjoy it because, like I said, there's a lot of flashbacks, a lot of exposition, so you'll kind of get caught up automatically in that first hour of the movie. So guys, that is my immediate thoughts out of the theater after watching Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I know I said this was going to be my out of the theater reaction, but it ended up turning into a full-fledged review. Essentially, I just wish the story was a little stronger. We fleshed out some more characters, maybe added a little bit more action and maybe some more dynamic and interesting action. I liked the plane scene and all that, and the underwater scene was cool. But other than that, we didn't really get any big action set pieces that are super memorable. I think it's a solid movie. You should definitely go check it out in theaters.